What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Kylie Minogue. Once again, big shout out to Robert for sharing and enabling this deep dive, as well as to all those who commented enthusiastically on the first Kylie reaction, including some usual suspects like Mark and Nicola. And as I think I mentioned in that reaction, I have access to a number of folders / releases from Kylie, but Robert procured a select assortment of tracks from each of these releases, so maybe at some point in the future we'll circle back and get some of the songs that weren't included, but it feels like a reasonable way to begin this deep dive. And of the 4 tunes included in the folder for the 1988 release Kylie, the second one is, and I apologize, I don't speak French, but it's something like Ne Sais Pas Pourquoi, and I put that into Google Translate, and apparently it means I don't know why. So I don't know whether there will be lyrics here in French beyond that phrase, or whether it'll mostly be in English, but perhaps feature that phrase in the chorus. But of course, the sentiment more generally, the idea of some occurrence, some process, or some event which transpires in a way that defies your understandings or a sense of logic or perhaps other evidence as you see it. So I wonder, of course, if that will be about the naivete or ignorance of the observer or the narrator of the song, the character of the song, or whether it'll be genuinely anomalous or, what's the right word, counterintuitive experiences or events that defy expectations in a broader sense. So either way, I'll see what I can catch on the first listen. This is Kylie Minogue. It's a track from her 1988 album Kylie, and it is, and once again I apologize, something to the effect of Je ne sais pas pourquoi. It's another really fun tune sonically, and again, it just has that classic 80s lighter pop feel to it. So obviously there's some nice keyboard progressions, there's those bells or like chimes which are sort of up at the top of the track and give it a nice like elegance, and there's that, sort of grooving, pulsing synth bass, so, it has compelling elements all over the track in terms of the like arrangement, and her voice is nice. I do enjoy the emotional nuance of the tune, and indeed it's like formally she's addressing this guy who's left her waiting and stood her up on multiple occasions, but it's almost like it's more accurately a statement to herself, questions asked of herself. Like she's really taking stock of her feelings and what's happening as it relates to her own perception and behavior. So again, it's like nominally addressed to the guy, but it's really more like she's talking to herself, and she's talking out this weird dynamic where, and I like the contrast, like visually and in terms of motion. She's being stood up, meaning, she's supposed to meet him somewhere, which, like, it feels like it's happened in a few different locations, but the environment in which it's taking place in this particular iteration of it is outside and in the rain. More on that in a moment. But I like the contrast of, you've stood me up and let me down. You've disappointed me and made me wait and not showed up on multiple occasions. So I like the up-down contrast. And the idea of being stood up while you're outside waiting and it's actually raining is an especially painful version of being stood up, because it's like it's adding environmental insult to emotional injury. So I like the particular scene that we're seeing or hearing about in this particular iteration of it. But yeah, it's like she's still saying that despite the fact that you've disappointed me multiple times and don't seem to be putting into this what I am, and don't seem to feel as strongly or at least exclusively about this as I do. And indeed, she's wondering, are you with another love? Am I just one among several? And you're not all in on this the way I am. She's saying the reality is, I still want you. I still love you. She's unable to reconcile her emotional condition. And by pourquoi, is that how it's pronounced? Nevertheless, she's unable to reconcile her emotional sentiment with her logical perception of what's been happening and maybe how she should be feeling about this guy. So again, not unlike some other artists, I recently went through the Jennifer Rush album Heart Over Mind, and that's like a full album of the idea of like a disconnect between what your brain is telling you you should be doing and what your heart is feeling and compelling you to do because of strong emotional feelings. And it feels like that's what's happening here, that she can't really just cut things off and walk away, because she still wants and loves this guy, even as he lets her down, stands her up, and makes her feel like, it's not a reciprocal or it's not a symmetrical relationship. So I like the contrast, again, of that emotional nuance and a bit of pain with the sort of light and bright and elegant sonics throughout the track. So yeah, it's a nice contrast of the bright sounds, heavier feelings, and thus there's a bit of tension to the tune overall. So yeah, ultimately I've enjoyed these first two tracks. Looking forward to more. Once again, shout out to Robert. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.